Hey friends, Rick from BCW here with the FAB Breakdown. And in this week's episode, we're breaking down Commoner. We have a deck tech for you set up with Dash for the Commoner format. But before we get into that, we also have some news from LSS, and that is some spoilers for the upcoming set called Uprising. Now, Uprising is due out around June 24th of 2022 on a hero that we've already seen, Iyslander. But we now have the adult version of Iyslander to go along with the young hero, and we have new artwork on the young hero. Now, this got my brain thinking that this may be a new way for LSS to create and develop new heroes for Flesh and Blood. For example, if you have an ability that you're kind of concerned may be a little too powerful, just bring out the young version first, see what happens in the Blitz format, in a smaller card pool, faster way to kind of test and whatnot. And then in the future set, you can bring out the adult version as well. Or maybe this just ties in with the theme, according to the story and the background fluff that we're getting so far, about Uprising. So, you know, this is absolutely wonderful. I'm perfectly fine with it. I think this hero is phenomenal. I like the fact that the ability for Iyslander hasn't changed. But this would be a case in point if they did have to tweak something from the original printing to the new printing, we would have an errated ability printed on a card, and it's a way for everybody to get the new card. Along with that, we also got 3 additional cards spoiled so far that go along with that. The first one is Channel the Bleak Expanse. This is a ice card. This is an aura. It's like the other channels where it's going to have a flow counter added to it. The nice thing is that this is available just to any hero that is attuned with the ice element. And it's got a nice control feature to it. You can't reveal cards, you can't search, and you can't draw off card abilities. So a way to kind of slow down some of the decks. It really stops the Sonata from being able to reveal. It stops revealing cards off the top of the deck to gain certain benefits. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, especially in a control shell. Up after that, we have the Ice Wizard card, which is another majestic called Encase. This is a red card. It is a majestic. It costs 0, deals 3 arcane damage. If it's fused, and it's fused with ice, if it's fused, then your opponent is frozen as well as their equipment, and they can't use it. So that's a really harsh combo that Iyslander can really take advantage of. Very specific on that card. And then we had a common card, Ice Bolt, that was spoiled. Now, Ice Bolt is a blue one that they spoiled. I'm going to guess since it's common, we will see the red and yellow as well. The blue one deals 3 arcane damage. It costs 2. It's on par with what we have seen out of this line before. We can go ahead and speculate that the yellow will deal 4, the red will deal 5, and it's an ice card, which is something that Iyslander is going to need for fusing, like the majestic we just talked about in case. So there we go. Those are the spoilers. We've got more coming. It looks like we have several days worth of spoilers coming out this week and into next week. So super excited about that. I honestly didn't think we would see spoilers for Uprising until the Pro Tour in New Jersey in May. So getting them a little bit early makes me extremely happy. So let's go ahead and now talk a little bit about Commoner and a Dash deck tech. But before we do that, let's have a word from our sponsor, BCW Supplies. Hey friends, Rick from BCW here with the Elite 2 product highlight here. This is going to be a bundle deal, and it may save you some money. It's a great convenient way to buy sleeves because you get 100 of the BCW Elite 2 sleeves. You get 100 inner sleeves, a plastic card deck box with divider, and this is a phenomenal way to just sleeve up any deck that you're playing. If you like to double sleeve, awesome. If you don't like to double sleeve, you still get a deck box with divider and 100 of the Elite 2 sleeves, which are my preferred sleeves when I'm playing any game like Flesh and Blood. So head on over to BCW Supplies right now, check out the Elite 2 selection, check out the bundle deal, and make sure you find the color that you like and order yours today. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Commoner right now. Commoner, we did talk about last week in the FAB 2.0 video when they came out with the official recommended rules for Commoner. Sometimes referred to as Pauper, but from here on out, it's Commoner. And it is a very cost-effective way to get people to play Flesh and Blood. Allow them to try it out at a great price point, but you're still getting a great game. The other nice thing for you seasoned people out there that have played a bunch of Flesh and Blood and have a large collection or have a collection is Commoner is going to play differently than the other formats that we're used to. Because in Blitz, we have access to the Majestics and Legendaries and Rares, and same thing with Classic Constructed. And the heroes are going to play different based on the cards they have available. You know, you cannot play Viserai OTK because you don't have Scaletta, you don't have Sonata, you don't have Swarming Gloomveil. All of a sudden, when you start looking at the power level of some of the Runeblade cards, when you just have the common cards left to play with, it plays different. Same with Dash. I love playing Dash in Classic Constructed, and typically I play it in a hybrid or more control build kind of way, where I'm using the Techlo Plasma Pistol, I'm using the Induction Chamber and Plasma Purifier. Well, I can't use the Plasma Purifier, I can't use the Induction Chamber. Both of those are higher than common. So now I'm gonna have to play Dash in a completely different way, and I'm excited to share with you that deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get top down on Dash. All right, here we are top down on Dash, the young hero version. 4 intellect, 20 health, and you may start the game with a mechanologist item with a cost of 2 or less in the arena. This is going to come out of your 40 card deck. You're going to pull it out, have it face down when you do your equipment. You're going to shuffle and present 39 cards in this format because that actually counts as one of the cards in your deck. So keep that in mind as you're filling out a deck list, and make sure you pull out the right item card that you want to start the game with. Now, normally at this point we'd move to the weapons and talk about the Techlo Plasma Pistol. However, without the Induction Chamber or the Plasma Purifier, the Techlo Plasma Pistol is not the best weapon in my opinion to use. Instead, we're going to be using that Plasma Barrel Shot weapon. Now, the Plasma Barrel Shot weapon has Power X, which we'll get into in just a moment. And once per turn, you may remove a steam counter from your Plasma Barrel Shot to attack with it. It does use an action point. It does not have Go Again. It has an action that you may spend 2 resources and put a steam counter on it. And then underneath that it says X equals 1 plus the number of times you have boosted this turn. So right there is telling you we're going to go with kind of more of an aggressive build. We're looking to boost a bunch in order to get this to do 3, 4, 5 damage when possible. So that is the Plasma Barrel Shot. It is a rare weapon. This is one of those cases we were just talking about where we want to be able to use a rare weapon in this format. Now let's talk about some of the equipment we're using for the headpiece. Hope's Merchant's Hood. This is just a phenomenal headpiece because there are times where you're going to have bad cards in your hand and you're trying to push through damage. So at an instant, destroy the Hope Merchant's Hood, shuffle any number of cards from your hand into your deck and draw that many cards. So awesome, just great effect to have. Also, we have the Ironhide Helm. This is going to be for heroes that we need to block physical damage from. So there are some heroes that have some really powerful attacks. And the fact that we don't want to dilute our deck with extra defense reactions, having something that we can block with and pay 1 resource to block 2 damage is going to be nice. There are some on-hit effects that we will still care about, even at the common level of cards. Not as many, but there are still some, so we do want to make sure that we have equipment that can block. We also have the Nullrune Hood. This is going to be some arcane barrier for us. This is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know that Kano will exist in Commoner. I'm sure there will be a Kano deck. I'm sure Kano has ways to deal arcane damage, and so we just want to respect that, as well as the rune blades that have arcane damage, but we have additional rune barrier in the deck. Next up, let's talk about the chess piece. We have 2 to talk about. The primary one is going to be the Heartened Cross Strap. This is an action, destroy it, and the next attack action you play this turn costs 2 less resources to play. It has Go Again. A lot of the attacks in this deck are going to have a cost of 1 or 2. So we want to have a way to get a free attack because we want to use all the cards in our hands to attack with. The next one should come as no shock. It is a Null Rune Robe. This is just another piece of Arcane Barrier. When it comes to gloves, we have 3 to choose from. The primary one that we want to use is going to be the Goliath Gauntlet. The Goliath Gauntlet is an action. Destroy the Goliath Gauntlet, the next attack action card with a cost of 2 or greater. You play this turn, gains +2. It has Go Again. 2 is the highest cost attack action card in the deck, but we are really trying to force through damage and strip cards out of our opponent's hand by being aggressive. Just like the Ironhide Helm, we have the Ironhide Gauntlets. This is an arm piece that is basically going to allow us to block 2 damage at the cost of 1 resource. It will destroy it, just like the Ironhide Helm will be destroyed when you block with it, but it's just a great card to have. Again, trying to block any of those go tall decks, being able to save cards in your hand, especially if you're able to block with both of those by pitching 1 card. That could really help keep you alive. You want to kind of hang on to those until you have to block, or if you have an on-hit effect that you really need to block out with the Ironhide, they're there for that. The Null Rune Gloves, again, this is Arcane Barrier. Now, I will say, against Rune Blades, this is the piece that I would cut the Goliath Gauntlet to bring in, or you could cut the Hope Merchant's Hood to bring in the Null Rune Hood. Really just depends on how you want to play the format. If you're going for just all-out aggression, then I would keep the Gauntlet and cut the Hope Merchant Hood and bring in the Null Rune Hood. If you're wanting a little bit more consistency, you might want to keep the Hope Merchant's Hood in and bring in the gloves. And finally, the last one is the Achilles Accelerator. This is the Mechanologist equipment that is common. It instant destroy it, and you can generate an action point. You can only use this ability if you have boosted this turn. Our deck's all about boosting, so we're going to be doing that. It has Arcane Barrier 1 on it. Now, you can just run this package right here, the Hope Merchant's Hood, Hardened Crossstrap, Goliath Gauntlet, and Achilles Accelerator into Rune Blades if you want. The one thing I will say though, the second you do that, you're probably going to regret when you crack your Achilles Accelerators because you're going to lose your Arcane Barrier. So I normally like to run at least 1 piece of Null Rune along with the accelerators because I want the freedom of being able to crack this and still have outs to arcane damage. But there we go. That is my 10 pieces of equipment. I could have 1 more, but really this is all I feel that I need in the deck. I have the Plasma Barrel Shot as a weapon. I have 9 pieces of equipment. This right here, the Hope Merchant's Hood, Hardened Crossstrap, Goliath Gauntlet, and Achilles Accelerator is my go-to. I'm going to be playing the Ironhide Helm and Gauntlet in matches like Bravo, where he's got Go Tall and Crush effects that I want to stop. And then the Null Rune I'm going to bring in against Kano or Rune Blades that have arcane damage. Normally I'm going to be bringing in the Hood or the Gloves. So that is that. Let's go ahead and talk about the common cards in this deck tech that are in the main deck. All right, so starting off with our red package in the deck, we have our attack actions, non-attack actions, and a Mechanologist item to talk about. Starting off with the attack actions, we have the red Combustible Courier, cost 2, deals 4. It does have the boost mechanic to it, so you can boost this card to give it Go Again. And if it hits the next attack action, you boost this combat chain, gains +3 attack power, which is absolutely amazing. It's got a nice little buff for the next boost attack that you play baked into it. It is a 2 for 4, so just keep that in mind. Again, the 2 cost, which is why we talk about running the Hardened Crossstrap, and a lot of the attacks in here that cost 2 are kind of some of your big hitters or have extra effects. Overloop, another one that is a big hitter. It costs 2, deals 5, blocks 3. It does have the boost mechanic as well. If Overloop hits, put it at the bottom of your deck when the chain link resolves. So, and some nice recursion in here. We have the red Throttle, cost 2, comes in for 6, blocks 3. It has boost on it. So very similar, just get 1 extra point of damage out of the boost, but it doesn't go on to the bottom of the deck. Now, I do want to point that out because this going to the bottom of the deck is going to be great because you're going to be boosting, you're going to be losing some cards, being able to get some nice big red attacks in the late game is going to be amazing. We have 1 Overblast red, it costs 2. It attacks for 5, Overblast gains plus X, where X is the number of times you have boosted this combat chain. So this can get relatively big. You can get a +3, +4 on this in the dream scenario, but realistically it's normally going to come in at a +2 or a +1. I'm only running 1. This is what I would call a finisher. But this is also another card that I'm running the accelerators for, is because I can play this. Let's say I've attacked 2 or 3 times. I play this, I can pop the accelerators because I've boosted, and this is going to get plus for the boost, and then I can attack with the plasma barrel shot that's also going to get plus for the number of times I've boosted. So a couple of sneaky lines like that. Jumping down here real quick, we have the 0 for 60 red. It's a 0 for 4 with boost. We have the zipper hit. It's a 1 for 5 with boost. Then we have Payload, another 2 cast, 6 damage card. This is a newer one out of Everfest, and this does not have boost. It says, however, if you have boosted, this card gains Dominate. So having the ability to gain Dominate, another finisher, kind of like the Overblast. I like this one a little bit more than Overblast because I feel like Dominate is better than the plus ability. So, and it's also another 6. So we have 2 6s in our red line package in Throttle and in Payload. So if you run into a Prism deck, we have 4 cards that can pop some of those larger attacks that Prism can throw around. When it comes to Mechanologist item, the Hyperdrive is one of my favorites. Now, this is not going to be the one that I start with at the start of the game. This is just a nice one to have. It is a cost of 1. Hyperdrive enters the arena with 3 steam counters on it. When Hyperdrive has no counters on it, destroy it. Once per turn, whenever you boost a card, you may remove a steam counter. If you do, you gain a resource. Absolutely amazing at just getting some resources. Now, this is really kind of taking the spot of the Teklo Core, which is a card that we can't play in Commoner. So this is just going to give us some value when we boost, which again, most of our attacks are going to be boosting. So we want to be able to use the extra resources without having to pitch cards. Lock and Load and Rotary Ram are non-attack action cards. They block for 3. They both cost 0. They both buff the next card by 3. So the next Mechanologist attack action card you play this turn gains +3. Same wording on the Rotary Ram. So this is just buffing our attacks. We want to make them big. We want to make them hard to block, especially things like Combustible Courier. Now, if you have boosted this turn, Lock and Load gets an opt 1. Rotary Ram gets to be put onto the bottom of your deck. Very much like the Overloop. So there's a little bit of recursion since we're going to be milling ourselves every time we boost. This is just a way to get some cards back into the deck. Overall, absolutely love this red line package here. I think that it does a lot of damage. These are the cards we're really wanting to attack with. So let's move on to the yellow package and then on to the blue package. All right, so when it comes to the yellow cards in the deck, it's really simple. We have 4. We're playing 2 zipper hit yellow and 2 0 to 60 yellow. The 0 to 60 is a 0 for 3 with boost, and the zipper hit is a 1 for 4 with boost. Not a lot else to say really about it. They're more boost cards. They both block for 3. This is what we're looking for. They're Mechanologist cards. These are decent to attack with. They are coming in at a decent rate, a 0 for 3 and a 1 for 4. And if you boost, they have Go Again. Overall, I absolutely like these cards. I think they're must include in the deck. And again, Mechanologist cards because we don't want misses when we boost. All right, and to wrap things up, here we are with our blue line. We have the Combustible Courier in blue. This is going to be more for pitching than it is for attacking, but it does have a nice on-hit effect. It costs 2, deals 2 damage, blocks for 3. If if it hits, it gives the same +3 that the red version gives. It also has boost. If you are going to play this card in the attack chain, I do recommend playing it towards the end when your opponent is low on cards, or if you have another way of buffing this card. Overloop blue, same thing. Again, most of these blues are in here for pitching and blocking because we do have so many cards that cost 2, but we want our blues to actually do something. So this is a 2 for 3. If it hits, put it on the bottom of the deck at the end of the chain link and has boost, same as the red version. Payload, same thing. This is a 2 for 4. This is actually a pretty good rate at 2 for 4. If you boost it, it gains Dominate. So it's a nice way just to have more cards that have Dominate to push in some extra damage. Throttle is a 2 for 4 that boosts, so absolutely phenomenal. You can give it Go Again, 2 for 4 with Go Again. Not horrible, not great, but not horrible. We have the 0 for 60, it's a 0 for 2 with boost. The Zipper Hit, it's a 1 for 3 with boost. And then we have some old familiars here. We have the blue Lock and Load and the blue Rotary Ram. Again, these are now going to give +1 at the blue line level. They both cost 0, they're non-attack actions. All the cards in this deck, for the most part, block for 3 unless it's a Mechanologist item. And the Mechanologist item, the last one here, is the Optical Monocle. This costs 0. This is the card that I'm going to be starting all of my games with. Reason being, it comes in with 5 steam counters on it. I can remove a steam counter and opt 1 and have Go Again. So this just kind of allows me to make sure that the top card is something that I don't mind boosting away. Again, a lot of blues, a lot of yellows. Really want to save those red cards because those are my heavy damage dealers. Now, this card would also allow me to play defense reactions in the deck because if it were on top or if I were going to miss, I could ship it to the bottom. I personally like starting with this card out just because it gives me the ability to make sure that I'm not boosting away red cards early on in the game, because the whole premise behind this deck is to get out, hit hard, hit fast, make sure that every time I boost an attack, it's guaranteed to hit because I don't play anything that's not a Mechanologist card. So the boost is always going to hit. I want to be able to swing some big attacks. So that is the reason why. Plus, with everything costing 2 in the deck, having the blue pitches are absolutely wonderful because you can pitch 1 to pay for a 2-cost attack, a 1-cost attack like a Zipper Hit, or you can load the Plasma Barrel and still have 1 resource floating. If you boost and you have the Hyperdrive online and you've pitched a blue to pay that card, you boost, you're going to have 2 resources, so you can play 2-cost attack action cards with the boost mechanic, the Hyperdrive, and playing this many blues. So a lot of thought went into this. This is the commoner build that I am currently using. I absolutely love its consistency. It is a lot of raw power. It is a lot of Go Again, which is relatively something a lot of decks have a hard time dealing with. And then we have some Dominate payoff cards like Payload at the end, and 1 Overblast that could just be a huge attack based on the number of times we got to attack and boost. So there you have it. This has been my Commoner Blitz deck tech for Dash. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I plan on doing some more Commoner deck techs in the future. I've got some other heroes that I'm testing and working on right now. If there's a hero you'd like to see in the Commoner format, please leave a message in the comment below. I do try to read all of those, and I will try to make that Commoner deck. I hope to see you guys out and about playing some games, especially Commoner. If you see me at events and I'm not in the middle of playing a game, like I've said before, I'll say it again, ask me if I want to get a game of Commoner in. I will do my best to make sure I have Commoner decks on me so we can at least jam a game. I'm enjoying the format. I hope you are as well. Until next time, get out there and play some Flesh and Blood in the Flesh and Blood. Have fun, and most importantly, be kind.